Administration. We don't have 45 people in the administration.
That was the point of putting names on, so that people could see that one person is filling more than one role. So you put director of guidance, you say there's no person there. Somebody's doing that job. It's 4 people that are doing that job. You put business manager, you say there's no person filling that role. Somebody is doing that job. How do you tell people who's doing that job if you just leave the box empty?
Do jobs.
Mr. Sullivan?
Again, I think we've had ample discussion on this. Those jobs are functions. We don't put functions on an organizational chart, okay? There is no hiring letter for any of these blue dots. The green dots, there is agreements, okay? There's some other staff people that Eric's talked about adding on, and I'm in agreement with that. But again, if these are functions of a particular position, then they're within that green box and can be further explained when you want to know what a systems administrator does or a technology director. The list of these tasks will be who's doing those. That's how this works. It's not a theory. It's how it is supposed to work.
I mean, in every conversation, the superintendent is the superintendent / business manager. I mean, that's how we refer to him, that position, many times.
Right.
But looking at this, somebody just looking at this chart, I think the chart should show what we actually have. I mean, it could be, and then you could have, you could have another chart with the name with that position and the roles of that position, which is what this kind of is. Or maybe that just needs to be made more clear. It is important that people do understand that. We're definitely multitasking, and that's fine.
Which isn't the norm. Some positions maybe, but it's not the norm.
I think
We normally have a director of guidance dealing with guidance issues throughout the system. We've got 4 people filling that role because we don't have that person. That body doesn't exist.
Which was part of our original, one of our budget proposals this year was to,
So how do you reflect that if you eliminate the box? That those responsibilities.
We don't have
We're
a
not-
director of guidance.
We're not creating anything for the norm right now. We're creating our organizational chart. So
If you don't have a director of guidance, you don't have a box for it. But Dr. Colley's and Beth Lewis's and other people's duties of their position may encompass director of guidance in it. If you don't have a director of guidance, you don't have a director of guidance box. You just don't have it. You got to show what the organization is.
if we had a posting right now for a director of guidance, then we'd have a box for a director of guidance. Let's say not filled, but this goes beyond just an organization. This is showing duties. It's showing, so it's.
Well, that's the way to do it. I can post for all these positions and leave them vacant because we don't have the money for it.
So we have a motion to accept the green boxes of this chart as a beginning.
And I'm willing to put in also, and this is just a friendly amendment, building staff, food service workers, custodians, maintenance staff, those kind of people that you mentioned, so that people do know how do they report, knowing that there'll be times they have to deal with some of the other administrators because of the roles and responsibilities of those administrators. I can do that.
So, Mike, you want to did I clearly state your motion to accept the chart?
I believe it included making an amendment to superintendent/business manager, a change in that green box.
You want to do that to all the other positions also?
No, just that's the only one that, because the other ones are being eliminated. So that's the only, and as of today's date.
David, yes.
I would ask, can I ask for an amendment to that now? Or? I would ask that we make another chart then showing what these people actually do. So then we have the principal, who is also the department head, who is also the director of guidance.
That would be you could do a functional chart. That's.
I think they're two different things. An organizational chart should be what we have.
And then I think
You want to
explanation.
add that to your amendment, Mike, or?
Or make a separate motion, whichever you choose. Yep, I'm more than happy to add that to the amendment. And who seconded?
Eric?
I
So-
did.
So we make, we
agree.
accept the top copy, we date it, and accept it as our organizational chart, work in progress, and then Dr. Colley can put another chart together showing what the actual responsibilities of those green squares.
Functional chart.
Yeah. And then, we can incorporate some of those
Which
other.
may include some of those green boxes. It may have other functional areas. Go to town with it. Great.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Dr. Colley, impact of the Massachusetts Virtual Academy at Greenfield.
This is one of those things that until it happens to you, most people don't see it on the horizon. We mentioned it a while back. A couple of years ago, the state created a virtual district with virtual schools in it, meaning there is no physical building, but students can apply from across the state to become part of this school or this district and receive education that would be considered by the state to equal a state public education diploma or credit for one grade level or another, depending where the kid registers into it. The premise is that the students do their work online. There are some idiosyncrasies, like they may do their work online, but if they have special needs, that the local district has to provide some of that or coordinate with the virtual district to coordinate that part. But at the end of the day, what happens is a student in any one given district across the Commonwealth can apply. If they are accepted, which usually is on the basis of number of slots that they have available, then basically the district gets charged back in the next year. It's basically a school of choice in the direction going out, and you basically have no say in it. They just take your kid, and they can be anywhere in the state. The organizational point of this is over in Greenfield Public Schools. I have some concerns with the whole model, although I think it's one of those things that it's going to happen no matter what we do. These things are going to get created, and people are going to want to push it. My only concern is always, are these teachers who are teaching these online courses certified in Massachusetts? I still have questions about that. But we'll see. This is the first one we ever get. Next year, we will have a deduction out of our Chapter 70, and I'll go to Greenfield to fund their virtual school.
What's the cost?
It's whatever I believe they're using the same mechanism as school choice, but it's a higher per pupil cost for the virtual school, so they'll take whatever it's been allowed to that virtual school.
And we don't know what that number is yet?
Not for this year, I don't know it.
Mike?
Is this something that's being prompted by a request from a student?
The parent just basically registered the student, and this is the notification from Greenfield to send the records over there.
And is this something we're obligated to enroll them in? Is that?
It was one of those legislative initiatives that happened a couple of years ago. So, yeah, we don't have a choice.
So a student that enrolls in this program doesn't enter our building. They
In some cases, they may have been in our building and they decide to stay
No, but I mean,
home.
but once they're in this program, that's it. It's like being homeschooled through, I mean, it's something totally separate. That student is gone.
Yes, is gone.
Well, didn't you just say, though, that we may have an obligation to provide them some supplemental services?
If they have an IP, yes, simply because of the distance. You know, they're basically
So then they're not going.
here, but, you know, this virtual school is kind of located or coordinated out of Greenfield. So we're
Is
not
there
gonna
a charge back for that?
It's brand new.
Okay.
I do not know.
So it's a work in progress.
So we are gonna be charged from
In
our
our Chapter
funding
70 for
some
next
amount,
year.
as if that student's no longer here. As it appears, we should be taking this under advisement. We're obligated to enroll cooperate with the transfer, but I would also note that we should look into some of the online courses at Bristol Community College. Are our juniors and seniors eligible to enroll in the community college online courses? Can we do a dual enrollment as we would if they attended the campus, which we do have that program in place? So it's to be applauded, but as noted, Greenfield is quite a distance, and I just think we have some strong programs locally that could make more offerings available to more students who are in the building. So,
There are some concerns around the use of online courses. And I'm sure, you know, they have their pluses and their minuses. The plus is you can do them anytime, anywhere, as long as you have access. The concern is, where does the supervision piece come in? I mean, I know they have some amount of video supervision to make sure the student is putting in some time in front of the computer, that kind of thing. I don't know if those other ones have that capacity. I've always have, you know, not a suspicion, but my hope would be that everybody's truthful and walks a fine line, and they're the ones sitting in front of the computer doing the work.
Now, is this still
there a
a
way-
pilot program, or is this,
Hmm?
is this a pilot program, or?
No, the state put it in play, and it's been operating for a couple of years.
How many kids enrolled, do we know?
They,
throughout the
I
state?
think at one point in time, they were allowed to take about 400 students. I don't know how many they're allowed this year. For us, this is the first one. I know some districts, the first year, had like 10 kids, and they were gonna charge them like $8,000 a kid, and all of a sudden, they got a bill. And nobody knew they were going. So, at least now they're funneling it through back payment through the Chapter 7.
Have we released all the information that was requested?
It's gone.
And is it just high school, Dr. Colley, or?
No. Supposedly they can go kindergarten all the way through grade 12.
Wow. Okay. All right, discussion of the town's FY13 financial analysis.
Obviously, last night we met with, or I went to the selectmen's meeting to hear, because some of these things were going to be discussed at that meeting. I know we had put together a joint meeting that we posted for 8/20, August 20th at 6, with the selectmen. And I think what they're trying to do is to start the discussion of what are we gonna do in the future, not just financially, but in terms of capital